Oh, hello YouTube. Today in the Naughty Library, and we are going over the worst books of 2023. And before we go any further, I'm going to put up my big asterisk at the top of this video saying these aren't necessarily bad books. These are just books that weren't doing it for me. So if you like them, I'm genuinely happy for you. I'm not trying to say these books are bad. They are just my least favorite, I will say, of 2023. Let's get into it. We're going to start off with The Magic Toy Shop by Angela Carter. This one was a book club pick for Blazing Bodice Rippers Book Club, and I hated it with a passion. So when you see Magic Toy Shop, and considering we read this for Halloween, I thought it was going to be like maybe spooky magical toys in a toy shop, like living toys, something like that. And this had no magic or toys. It did have puppets and incest and familial abuse, and I think everybody dies. Sorry, spoiler. It's been out for quite a while at this point. But yeah, yikes. It's a big ol' yikes, and in ways I could not have ever predicted. We're going to just stick with book clubs for a hot minute because I also have Patience and Sarah by Isabel Miller. And this one's just a hot mess, just from like, I would say a literary standpoint. Like, it changes to second person in the middle of the book for like no reason, and then it goes back to third person. Why? And it's like a classic lesbian romance, because it's for the, classic lesbian romance read-a-thon. So yeah, it's for that. But I don't know. It has a happy ending, but it's just like, I don't want them to be together. They're not great. Like, Patience is kind of the worst, and Sarah is too young and naive to know any better. So the whole time I was just like, I'm really not rooting for this couple to be together. Like, I'm glad they're happy, I guess, but like, it's just kind of a mess to read, and like, I didn't like the characters, so it's just not good. And I picked one book for my patron and channel member book club, which was Witch King by Martha Wells. And here's the thing, this isn't necessarily a bad book. I had an okay time with it just because I like Martha Wells' writing style, and like, I appreciated what it was doing. However, I'm only like 60 to 70% sure what happened in this book. It's like borderline unintelligible. It makes very little sense. It's basically two stories happening concurrently, one's in the past and one's in the present. What it feels like is book one and book three of a trilogy got mashed together, and they just threw out book two. So you're just like, who are these people and what are they doing? And like, not enough of like the old part of the story, like in the past, explains what's going on now. So I was just very confused, and it's just pieced together, and I'm sure it was a literary choice. I just don't think it's very effective, because like, it made no sense. I wish it was just 3 books. You don't have to like subvert every like genre expectation. You have a big epic fantasy, a lot of times you have a trilogy. So like, did you need to not do a trilogy? I don't know. I think it would have been better if we had book 1 and a book 2 and then book 3, and I would have enjoyed the saga, but like, just having 1 and 3 smashed together just didn't work. Next up, I have Beautiful Disaster by Jamie McGuire. And I read the whole thing, so I can confidently say this book is a dumpster fire. Like, oh my God, is it a dumpster fire? These characters are ridiculous. Like, nothing they do makes any sense, and it takes so long for them just fucking with each other and being miserable and awful. And I get it, they're young, but like, I don't know how old these characters are supposed to be, really, because like, they're in college, but all of the interactions they have with each other, like, oh, we were in class and then we go to the cafeteria and like, everybody knows our business that we're dating now. And it's like, are you in high school? Like, that would make sense for high school. College, they don't do that. You don't have like a cafeteria you go sit at and like, everyone knows your business. Like, what is going on? So just from like a world building perspective, it made no sense. From a character perspective, it makes no sense. And like, honestly, this actually isn't even that good. It has some smut in it, not even that good. So what is this book offering besides a dumpster fire? Couldn't tell you. However, They did adapt this into a movie recently, and the movie is cute, okay? I'll be honest, I saw the movie first and I was like, oh, maybe I'll read the book. And I was like, oh man, I shouldn't have. This book is rotten. It's just so bad. So here we are in the future together. Just watch the movie, it's better. All right, let's move on from the books that I actually read the whole thing onto my DNFs. All the rest of these books I DNF'd for various reasons. I'm thinking a lot of the time is probably going to be the same reason, but we'll get into that. Nothing More to Tell by Karen M. McManus. I gave this a good shot. I read about a third of it. Honestly, I barely remember what happened because like nothing had happened, which is why I gave up. Like I had read a third of it and I was bored to tears. And it's supposed to be like a murder mystery and it just wasn't moving anywhere. And these characters were younger than I was expecting. I thought this was more kind of like new adult, but it's like young adult. And that's not necessarily the problem here. It being young adult isn't the issue. The issue is that it's bad and boring. So yeah, I didn't really get to the end of it, but I just couldn't be bothered to give a shit. So it DNF'd. The Cloisters by Katie Hayes. I really wanted to like this. It's kind of dark academia. It's a little bit sapphic. And I was like, yes, those are my buzzwords. Give me this. But it so spectacularly failed me. Like I read like I would say like 60% of it at least. And all of a sudden it turns into a murder mystery. And like I had solved the murder mystery like immediately. And I don't think you were supposed to do that as a reader. I think it was supposed to be a big twist. Because I skipped ahead in this book. I skimmed the rest. And I was like, yes, I called it immediately. This wasn't very mysterious. And it was just also incredibly dull. Like this character has like, I guess she's very shy and she's like awkward. So she doesn't always like talk to a lot of people. And that's fine, but it's not really an interesting character to read about, especially when this character isn't even interesting internally. Like we've done this before in other books where we have like the moody dark loner, like Holden Caulfield. Do I like Catcher in the Rye? No, I do not. But like it's a classic for a reason. You could write an interesting character who's very introspective, interesting on the inside. The main character of this book was like had the personality of a plank of wood. Like there's nothing going on. So yeah, I gave it up. I so wanted to like Lunar Love by Laura Kung Jessen. I really did. I gave it a good go. I read half of this thing. And honestly, I just couldn't be bothered to care about these characters. And I get it. They're kind of going through their own experiences. And I do like that it was own voices. But like I appreciate the cultural elements it was trying to do. I liked that because it does take place with like Chinese zodiac and their matchmaking based on that. So there had a lot of cultural elements that were really cool. It's just our two main characters are very boring and I don't care if they fuck. Like that's the main point of these, right? You want to see them get together. And I was like, no, you guys are so boring and weird and I don't like you. And their whole relationship is based on lies. And I'm like, ugh. So yeah, I read half and I didn't care what happened. Like these characters were not endearing. They were boring. And also just, I would go so far as to say obnoxious. Like, I mean, from a literary perspective, I'm not expecting these characters to be like so endearing that I love them, although that helps. These characters are very messy, but the problem is they're unlikably messy. And it depends on the reader if that's going to bother you or not, because like characters don't necessarily need to be likable, but they do need to be interesting, and these characters aren't. So they're unlikable and they're boring. It's a bad combination. If they were unlikable and interesting, then it'd be another story, but here we are. Genesis of Misery by Neon Yang looks so cool. Like, this is Joan of Arc in space. And I was like, yes, tell me no more. That cover's gorgeous. Joan of Arc, take my money. So I kind of bought it just off vibes. And I mean, the cover is gorgeous. That's not untrue. But honestly, I read 100 pages of this. I didn't read a lot of this, maybe 25%. But if you asked me what happened in that 100 pages, I couldn't fucking tell you. Like, it was undecipherable. And maybe it's just me. Am I too dumb as a reader? I like to think not, because I read a lot of books. I kind of know my shit at this point. So if I really have no clue what's happening, I feel like it's the author's fault. Now, I'm not saying this is a bad author. I'm sure this book is for the right person, is amazing, because there's a lot of world building going on here. It happens in space. It's queer. It's got so many cool things. It's just unintelligible for me, but I wouldn't say it's poorly written. Does that make sense? It's just, I feel like it needed more, I don't know, clarity in what was happening, because the author obviously knows what all these things are, but like I don't as a reader, so I was just confused and I don't know what happened. And this is the same problem I had with the Archive Undying by Emma Miko Candon, because again, cover goals. That cover's gorgeous. It has such a cool premise. It's like AI gods, and they go crazy sometimes and murder everybody. And I was like, yes, take my money, please. Like, that sounds so cool. And for the exact same reason, I had to DNF it, because I read about 100 pages. And like, if you ask me what happened in it, fuck if I know. Like, I have no idea what happened in this book. None. And there's all these like very intricate like things happening in the book. Like, there's these characters, because like technology is sentient partially, I think. Like, I honestly don't know, but like there's all these constructs that were invented and not described well enough that I can't even picture them in my head. So when I'm reading, I'm just seeing like image not found. Like, I can't picture anything because I don't know what's going on here. So I gave it a go. I tried, but after 100 pages, if I'm like so fucking lost, I'm not gonna keep reading it. And last up on my list, I really hate to say this one because it was so anticipated, is Camp Damascus by Chuck Tingle. I wanted to love this. I love Chuck Tingle, and I support Chuck Tingle as a human being. And I was like, yes, an adult horror debut, give me. And unfortunately, I just was not vibing with it. What I love about Chuck Tingle is all of like the tongue-in-cheek kind of jokes, and they just write like the most bizarre smut you can ever imagine. Just like the sentient version of my teapot has banged me in the ass. Like, that would be probably one of the books they wrote. Or my sexy boss, who's also a Tyrannosaurus, banged my butt. Like, there's, you know, like, I appreciate it for what it is. But going into an adult horror, I feel like it needed more nuance than it had, because I'm gonna tell you right now, like, I kind of put this together really fast, and I don't think I was supposed to figure out what was going on this quickly. But it was like, I found out immediately, guys. Like, I will give it that I didn't, like, figure out the exact little weird horror elements that they were going to use. But the whole, like, overarching plot and why things happened, I knew it from the beginning. Like, it was very predictable for me. I didn't get into the body horror. I could not have predicted the body horror elements, so I'll give them that. But like, yikes. It was just, I don't know. I really wanted to like it a lot, and it just didn't hit. All right, so that was it. Those are my least favorite books of 2023. Basically anything I DNF'd hit the list. For the most part though, like a lot of books I didn't necessarily like I don't have beef with. Like, I'm like, it's fine. It's whatever. Like, it's 3 stars. It's fine. That's kind of how I was rating, like, some things I wasn't super into, but they're fine. So they didn't really make this list. Like, if I was making a most mediocre list of 2023, a lot of those books would be on there. But, like, they're not my least favorite. So I kind of condensed this down to just ones like I could not finish or I just thought were bad. So here we are. Let me know in the comments down below what was one of your least favorite books of 2023. Mind you, let's not be too mean about it, but like a little salt never did anybody too much harm. So let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like. If you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe. And if you want cool exclusive content, including early access to videos and a book club, you can consider becoming a channel member or a patron. Links for that are in the description down below. And on that note, I will see you guys soon. Goodbye.